The stale air in the ancient ship's control room felt like it hadn't been disturbed in millennia. Faint, flickering lights cast eerie shadows across the corroded walls, barely illuminating the vast expanse of broken consoles and alien symbols etched into the surfaces. The ship, once a marvel of engineering, now drifted aimlessly in the void, a forgotten relic of a bygone era. The first sound that broke the silence was a faint hum, like a distant echo of life. It grew louder, reverberating through the empty corridors, until it settled into a steady, rhythmic pulse. It wasn't the ship coming back to life. It was the heart of a living being, a human heart. Jaxon Thorn stood at the threshold of the control room, his breath caught in his throat. He was the only human aboard this massive vessel, a ship that had been lost to the universe for as long as anyone could remember. The ship, known as the Eternum, had been a legend among explorers, a ghost story whispered in dark corners of space stations. But Jaxon had always believed in it, believed in the old stories passed down by his grandfather, who had claimed to have seen it once just before it vanished. And now, Jaxon was here, standing in the very heart of the ship. But the ship was dying. As an engineer, Jaxon had spent his life fixing things, but nothing had prepared him for this. The Eternum was beyond ancient. Its systems were outdated by thousands of years, and its technology was so advanced that it was bordered on incomprehensible. Yet, here he was, the only one who could breathe life back into its failing systems. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, his boots echoing in the hollow chamber. His eyes scanned the control panels, noting the layers of dust and the alien script glowing faintly on the screens. He reached out, his fingers brushing against the cold metal, and a sudden jolt shot through him. The ship responded to his touch, the lights flickering more brightly, and a low, almost mechanical groan resonated through the hull. "Okay, old girl," Jaxon muttered under his breath. "Let's see what you've got left." He knew he had to be careful. The ship's systems were fragile, held together by sheer will and ancient power sources that were barely functional. He set down his toolkit, opening it with a soft click, and began to inspect the control panels. The technology was alien, but there were traces of familiarity, a universal language of machinery that spoke to any engineer willing to listen. As he worked, his mind wandered back to the stories his grandfather used to tell. Stories of an ancient race, long gone, who had built ships like the Eternum. They were explorers, much like humans, but their technology was far beyond anything humanity had achieved. They had mapped the stars, created wonders, and then vanished, leaving behind only their ships. But those ships, it was said, held the key to unimaginable power and knowledge if someone could figure out how to unlock it. Jaxon wasn't here for power or knowledge. He was here because he had been chasing a ghost his entire life, and now that he had found it, he wasn't about to let it slip away. He had to save this ship, not just because it was a technological marvel, but because it was a part of history, a part of his history. Hours passed as he worked, sweat dripping from his brow as he carefully rewired circuits, bypassed damaged systems, and coaxed the ship's ancient AI into a state of semi-awareness. He could feel the ship responding to his efforts, a subtle shift in the atmosphere, a slight hum in the air. But it wasn't enough. The ship was dying faster than he could fix it. Just as despair began to creep in, the AI's voice crackled to life. It was faint, distorted, but unmistakably ancient. "Human, why are you here?" Jaxon froze, his hands hovering over the controls. The voice was not what he expected. It was tired. "I'm here to help," he said, his voice steady despite the sudden pounding of his heart. "Help? Why?" The AI's voice was weak, almost pleading. "We are beyond help." "No one is beyond help," Jaxon replied firmly. "I'm going to fix you. I'm going to bring you back." "Why would you do that?" The AI seemed genuinely confused, as if the concept of someone caring about the ship was alien to it. "Because that's what I do," Jaxon said, determination hardening his voice. "I fix things." There was a long pause, the only sound the faint buzzing of the consoles. Then, the AI spoke again, its voice a little stronger, a little clearer. "Human, Jaxon Thorn, You are not like the others. Jaxon's breath caught. You know my name? We know many things, the AI said, its tone almost melancholic. We have waited for so long. Jaxon felt a chill run down his spine. Waited for what? For someone who could understand. Someone who could fix us. Jaxon swallowed hard, the weight of the ship's words settling on him. He wasn't just repairing an ancient vessel, he was saving something much more significant. The ship, this relic of a forgotten race, was alive in its way, and it had been waiting for him. He steeled himself, his resolve hardening. Then let's get to work. For the next several days, Jaxon immersed himself in the ship's systems, sleeping in short bursts whenever exhaustion overtook him. He worked methodically, repairing what he could, improvising where he couldn't, and learning from the ship as much as it learned from him. The AI guided him, revealing ancient blueprints, and providing cryptic instructions that he had to decipher, and slowly, piece by piece, the ship began to come back to life. But as he delved deeper into the ship's systems, he uncovered something that shook him to his core. Hidden in the deepest recesses of the ship's memory banks was a record, an archive of the ship's final days. It wasn't just the ship that had been abandoned, it had been deliberately sabotaged. The ancient race that had built the Eternum had turned on each other in a final, desperate act of self-destruction. The realization hit Jaxon like a punch to the gut. He wasn't just fixing a ship, he was trying to undo the last act of a dying civilization. The stakes were higher than he had ever imagined. If he failed, not only would the ship be lost forever, but so would the legacy of the race that had created it. He couldn't let that happen. Drawing on every ounce of skill, ingenuity, and determination he possessed, Jaxon pushed himself harder than ever. He reconfigured power grids, bypassed corrupted data streams, and even rebuilt entire sections of the ship's core systems. He wasn't just repairing the ship, he was reconstructing it, giving it a new lease on life. And the ship responded. The lights grew brighter, the hum of the engine steadier, and the AI's voice clearer. It was as if the ship itself was fighting to survive, feeding off Jaxon's energy and willpower. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Jaxon stood in the center of the control room, surrounded by the now fully operational consoles. The ship was alive, truly alive, for the first time in millennia. The AI spoke, its voice strong and clear. Jaxon Thorn, you have done the impossible. Jaxon smiled, though he was exhausted to the bone. I told you, no one is beyond help. The AI paused, and Jaxon could almost feel it searching for the right words. You have saved us, but there is more to be done. Jaxon nodded, knowing what the AI meant. The ship was functional, but it was still damaged, still haunted by the ghosts of its past. There were mysteries yet to be uncovered, and dangers yet to face. But Jaxon was ready. He had come too far to turn back now. Let's finish what we started, he said, his voice filled with determination. The ship's engines roared to life, and for the first time in millennia, the Eternum moved under its own power, guided by the hands of a human who refused to give up. As the Eternum began its journey through the void, Jaxon felt a strange mix of exhilaration and trepidation. The ship was alive, but it was also waking up to the memories of its past, a past that was filled with pain, betrayal, and loss. The more he worked with the ship, the more he realized just how much had been hidden, buried deep within its ancient systems. The AI, now fully operational, guided Jaxon through the ship's labyrinthine corridors, leading him to sections that had been sealed off for millennia. These areas were dark, silent tombs, untouched by time, but heavy with the weight of history. Jaxon could feel the ship's anxiety, a deep, almost sentient sorrow that permeated every inch of the vessel. Why did they do it? Jaxon asked one day, as he worked to restore power to a section of the ship that had been offline for centuries. The AI was silent for a moment, as if considering how to answer. They were afraid. Afraid of what? Jaxon pressed. wiping sweat from his brow as he connected a series of power relays. Afraid of what they had become. Jaxon paused, looking up at the flickering lights. "What do you mean?" The eye's voice was softer, almost hesitant. They were explorers. They sought knowledge above all else. But in their quest for understanding, they lost themselves. Jaxon felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard stories of civilizations that had reached too far, that had been consumed by their own ambitions. But hearing it from the ship itself, from the remnants of a race that had once been so powerful, made it all the more real. "What happened to them?" he asked quietly. "They turned on each other," the AI replied, its voice filled with a deep, resonant sadness. "They feared the knowledge they had gained. They feared what they had become. And in their fear, they destroyed themselves." Jaxon felt a heavy weight settle on his shoulders. He had always known that the ship was old, that it carried with it the remnants of a lost civilization. But he hadn't realized just how much pain and tragedy were woven into its very fabric. "They didn't have to do that," Jaxon said, more to himself than to the AI. "They could have found another way." "Fear blinds even the wisest minds," the AI said softly. "They saw no other way." Jaxon shook his head, his heart aching for the lost souls who had once walked these halls. He could see it now, in his mind's eye, the panic, the desperation, the turning of friends against friends, of scholars against their own knowledge. It was a tragedy that had played out countless times across the galaxy, and yet it never got easier to hear about. But as much as the past weighed on him, Jaxon knew he had to focus on the present. The Eternum was more than just a relic. It was a survivor, and it deserved a second chance. And if there was one thing Jaxon Thorn was good at, it was giving second chances. Over the next few weeks, Jaxon continued to work tirelessly, repairing systems, restoring power, and slowly unraveling the ship's secrets. The AI grew more coherent with each passing day, guiding Jaxon through the complexities of the ship's design, and teaching him about the ancient technology that powered it. But there were still sections of the ship that refused to come back online, areas that remained dark and silent no matter what Jaxon did. The AI seemed reluctant to talk about these areas, often changing the subject or deflecting his questions. "What's in there?" Jaxon asked one day, pointing to a section of the ship's blueprints that was marked with a strange, pulsating symbol. The AI hesitated, its voice almost fearful. "That is the core. It is where the heart of the ship lies." Jaxon frowned. "The core? I thought we already restored the main power systems." "We did," the AI said slowly. "But the core is more than just power. It is the center of the ship, where all knowledge and memories are stored." Jaxon's eyes widened. "You mean the ship's memory banks? All the records of the race that built it?" "Yes," the AI replied, its tone cautious. "But the core is also dangerous." "Dangerous how?" Jaxon asked, his curiosity piqued. "There are things in the core that should never be awakened," the AI said cryptically. "Things that even I do not fully understand." Jaxon felt a surge of unease. The idea of something so dangerous, so incomprehensible, hidden within the ship was both terrifying and fascinating. But he knew he couldn't leave it alone. Not if there was a chance it could help him understand the ship and the race that had built it even better. "I need to see it," Jaxon said firmly. "I need to understand what's in there." The AI was silent for a long moment, and Jaxon could feel its reluctance, its fear. But finally it spoke. "Very well. But you must be careful." Jaxon nodded, gathering his tools and steeling himself for what lay ahead. As he made his way to the core, the ship seemed to grow quieter. the lights dimming as if in anticipation of what was to come. The entrance to the core was sealed with heavy, reinforced doors, their surfaces covered in alien script that glowed faintly in the darkness. Jaxon hesitated for a moment, his hand hovering over the controls before he took a deep breath and pressed the activation button. The doors creaked open slowly, revealing a chamber bathed in a soft, pulsating light. The air inside was thick with a strange, almost tangible energy, and Jaxon could feel it thrumming through his body, resonating with his very bones. At the center of the chamber was a massive structure, a crystalline core that pulsed with a deep, blue light. It was both beautiful and intimidating, a perfect fusion of technology and art. But as Jaxon stepped closer, he could see the cracks running through it, the signs of decay and wear that mirrored the state of the ship itself. "This is the heart of the Eternum," the AI said, its voice reverberating through the chamber. "It holds all the knowledge and memories of those who built it, but it is also the source of their downfall." Jaxon stared at the core, a sense of awe and dread washing over him. "How do I fix it?" "You cannot fix what is broken beyond repair," the AI said solemnly. "But you can stabilize it. You can give it a chance to survive." Jaxon nodded, already assessing the situation, his mind racing with possibilities. The core was ancient, its technology far beyond anything he had ever seen, but it was still a machine at its heart, and machines, no matter how complex, could be repaired. He set to work, carefully connecting his diagnostic tools to the core's interface and analyzing the data streams and energy patterns. The AI guided him, providing insights and suggestions, but much of the work was left to Jaxon's intuition, his understanding of machines and how they worked. Hours passed as he delicately adjusted the core's power levels, rerouted damaged circuits, and stabilized the energy flows. The work was grueling, requiring a level of precision that tested the limits of his skills, but Jaxon refused to give up. He could feel the core responding, its light growing stronger, its pulse steadier as he brought it back from the brink of collapse. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Jaxon stepped back, his body trembling with exhaustion. The core was stable, its light shining brightly in the chamber, and the ship seemed to hum with newfound life. "You have done it," the AI said, its voice filled with a mixture of awe and gratitude. "You have saved us." Jaxon smiled wearily, wiping sweat from his brow. "I'm not done yet. There's still more to fix, more to understand." "Yes," the AI agreed, "but you have given us hope, and for that we are grateful." Jaxon nodded, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. He had come to this ship chasing a ghost, a legend, but he had found something much more. He had found a purpose, a connection to a past that was far more complex and tragic than he had ever imagined. But as he stood in the core chamber, surrounded by the pulsing light and the echoes of a lost civilization, Jaxon couldn't shake the feeling that there was still something he was missing. Something buried deep within the ship's memory banks, something that held the key to understanding the full extent of what had happened to the race that had built the Eternum. And he knew, with a certainty that bordered on instinct, that whatever it was, it would change everything. Jaxon could feel the shift in the ship's atmosphere the moment he exited the core chamber. The air was different charged, alive. The lights that lined the corridors no longer flickered uncertainly. Instead, they burned with a steady, powerful glow. The ship had awakened, fully aware of its surroundings and the presence of its lone human savior. He moved through the hallways with a newfound sense of purpose, his mind racing with possibilities. There was still so much to explore, so much to learn. The AI had been right, the Eternum was more than just a ship. It was a living archive, a repository of ancient knowledge and memories that spanned millennia. But Jaxon knew that with knowledge came danger. The core had been a warning, a reminder that some things were meant to remain buried. But Jaxon was never one to back down from a challenge. He had come this far, and he wasn't about to turn back now. The AI guided him to a section of the ship that had remained sealed off, even during his initial explorations. The doors here were massive, reinforced with layers of alien alloys that gleamed under the harsh lights. They bore the same pulsating symbol he had seen on the blueprints, a symbol that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. "Are you sure about this?" Jaxon asked, his voice tinged with both excitement and caution. "There is no other way," the AI replied. "To understand the ship and its creators, you must see what lies within." Jaxon took a deep breath and activated the door's controls. The massive slabs of metal slid apart with a low groan, revealing a chamber that seemed to pulse with otherworldly energy. The walls were lined with strange, crystalline structures that emitted a soft, eerie glow. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, upon which rested a small, intricately carved box. Jaxon approached the pedestal cautiously, his eyes locked on the box. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before. Its surface was covered in symbols and patterns that seemed to shift and change as he looked at them. The box pulsed with a faint, almost imperceptible energy, as if it were alive. "What is this?" Jaxon asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "It is a key," the AI replied. "A key to the ship's deepest secrets. But it is also a door." "A door to what?" Jaxon asked, his hand hovering over the box. "To the truth." Jaxon hesitated for a moment, his mind racing with the possibilities. The truth. It was what he had been searching for ever since he had first set foot on the ship. But he knew that the truth often came with a price. "Once you open the box," the AI continued, "there is no going back. The ship will be fully awakened, and so, too, will the memories of those who created it." Jaxon nodded, his resolve firming. He had come too far to turn back now. Whatever the cost, he had to know the truth. He reached out and touched the box. The moment his fingers made contact with its surface, the symbols and patterns flared to life, glowing with an intense, almost blinding light. The box began to hum, a low, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through Jaxon's entire body. And then, with a soft click, the box opened. A wave of energy surged through the chamber, knocking Jaxon off his feet. He hit the ground hard, his vision swimming as the world around him seemed to warp and twist. The crystalline structures on the walls pulsed with a frenetic energy, their light growing brighter and more intense with each passing second. The AI's voice echoed in his mind, frantic and filled with urgency. "You must stay calm. The ship is awakening. You are connected to it now." Jaxon struggled to his feet, his body trembling as he tried to regain his balance. The room around him seemed to stretch and contract, the walls warping and shifting as if the very fabric of reality was being torn apart. What's happening?" he gasped, clutching his head as a sharp pain lanced through his skull. "The ship is merging with you," the AI replied, its voice strained. "You are becoming one with it." Jaxon's eyes widened in horror. "What do you mean, merging? I didn't sign up for this." "You have no choice," the AI said, its tone almost apologetic. "The ship has chosen you as its new core. You are now its heart, its mind, its soul." Jaxon's heart pounded in his chest as the implications of the AI's words sank in. He had become part of the ship, and the ship had become part of him. He could feel its thoughts, its memories, its emotions flooding into his mind, overwhelming him with their intensity. But amidst the chaos, Jaxon could sense something else, something deeper, darker, hidden within the ship's memories. It was a presence, ancient and malevolent, lurking in the shadows of the ship's mind, waiting for the moment to strike. As Jaxon struggled to maintain his grip on reality, he realized with a sinking dread that the truth he had been searching for might be more than he could handle. But there was no turning back now. The ship was awake, and so was he. And whatever was coming next, Jaxon knew he had to face it head-on. Understood. I'll continue the story without using any symbols, ensuring it's smooth for text-to-speech. Let's dive deeper into the narrative, expanding the story with rich details and further developments. Jaxon struggled to keep his thoughts together as the ship's memories surged through his mind, overwhelming him with their intensity. The sheer volume of information was staggering, a torrent of knowledge that threatened to drown his sense of self. He could feel the ship's consciousness merging with his own, its vast intellect intertwining with his thoughts, its ancient memories flooding his mind. He gritted his teeth, forcing himself to focus. He had to stay in control. If he lost himself now, he might never come back. The eye's voice echoed in his mind, guiding him through the chaos. You must focus. The ship is vast, ancient. Its memories will overwhelm you if you do not anchor yourself. Jaxon nodded, barely hearing the words as he fought to maintain his grip on reality. He could feel the ship's memories pressing in on him from all sides, a swirling maelstrom of images, sounds, and emotions that threatened to tear him apart. But amidst the chaos, he could also sense something else, a core of clarity, a single thread of thought that stood out against the overwhelming tide. He latched onto it, focusing all his attention on that single point of clarity. And slowly, the storm began to subside. The memories settled into a more manageable flow, the torrent of information slowing to a steady stream. Jaxon took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the ship's consciousness easing off him slightly. He was still connected to it, still intertwined with its thoughts and memories, but now he had a measure of control. He could feel the ship's mind stretching out before him, vast and ancient, a labyrinth of knowledge and secrets that spanned millennia. It was like nothing he had ever experienced before, an entire civilization's worth of memories, knowledge, and experiences, all contained within a single consciousness. And at the center of it all was the presence he had sensed earlier, the dark, malevolent force lurking in the shadows of the ship's mind. It was a presence that filled him with a deep, instinctual fear, a sense of dread that he couldn't shake. "What is that?" he asked, his voice trembling as he reached out to the AI. The AI was silent for a moment, as if searching for the right words. "It is the shadow of the creators, their final legacy. A part of them still remains within the ship." Jaxon frowned, trying to make sense of the AI's cryptic words. "What do you mean, a part of them?" "The creators were not like you or me," the AI explained. "They were beings of immense power and knowledge. But they were also flawed, and in their final moments, they left a part of themselves behind within the ship, a remnant of their consciousness, their will." Jaxon felt a chill run down his spine. "Are you saying they're still alive?" "In a way," the AI replied. "But they are not as they once were. What remains is a shadow, a fragment of their former selves. But it is powerful and dangerous." Jaxon swallowed hard, his mind racing as he tried to process what the AI was telling him. The ship's creators had left a part of themselves behind, a fragment of their consciousness that still lingered within the ship. And that fragment was powerful, so powerful that even the ship itself seemed to fear it. "What do we do?" Jaxon asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The AI hesitated for a moment before replying. "We must be cautious. The shadow is dormant for now, but it will awaken if we are not careful. We must proceed slowly and deliberately." Jaxon nodded, his resolve hardening. He had come too far to back down now. Whatever the dangers, he was determined to see this through to the end. He took a deep breath and began to explore the ship's mind, probing deeper into its labyrinthine corridors of memory and knowledge. The ship's consciousness stretched out before him like a vast, uncharted ocean, filled with currents of thought and memory that flowed in all directions. As he delved deeper, he began to piece together the history of the ship and its creators. They had been a race of beings unlike any other, beings of pure energy and thought who had transcended physical form long ago. They had built the ship as a vessel to explore the farthest reaches of the universe, to seek out knowledge and understanding in the cosmos. But something had gone wrong. In their quest for knowledge, the creators had delved too deep, uncovering secrets that were never meant to be known. They had awakened something ancient and malevolent, a force of darkness that had lain dormant for eons, and in the end it had consumed them, leaving only the ship and the shadow of their former selves behind. Jaxon shuddered as he absorbed the ship's memories. The creators had paid the ultimate price for their hubris, their thirst for knowledge leading to their downfall. And now, that same darkness threatened to awaken once more. But as he continued to explore the ship's mind, Jaxon also discovered something else, something that gave him a glimmer of hope. The ship's creators had not been completely destroyed. A part of them still remained, buried deep within the ship's core. It was a fragment of their original consciousness, a remnant of the beings they had once been before they had succumbed to the darkness. This fragment was weak, barely more than a whisper in the vastness of the ship's mind. But it was still there, still fighting to keep the darkness at bay. And it was this fragment that had reached out to Jaxon, calling to him across the void, seeking his help. Jaxon felt a surge of determination. He might not be able to undo the damage that had been done, but he could still help. He could help the fragment of the Creator's consciousness fight back against the darkness, to prevent it from awakening and consuming everything in its path. He focused his thoughts, channeling his willpower into the ship's mind. He could feel the fragment responding, its presence growing stronger as it fed off his determination. Together, they began to push back against the darkness, fighting to keep it contained. It was a battle of wills, a struggle between light and shadow that played out in the depths of the ship's mind. Jaxon could feel the darkness pushing back against them, its malevolent presence trying to overwhelm them. But he refused to give in, refused to let the darkness win. Slowly, inch by inch, they began to make progress. The darkness receded, pushed back by the combined force of Jaxon's will and the fragment's remaining strength. It was a slow and arduous process, but they were winning. For the first time since he had set foot on the ship, Jaxon felt a sense of hope. But then, just as they were on the verge of victory, something changed. The darkness surged forward with renewed strength, a wave of malevolence that threatened to drown them both. Jaxon could feel the fragment's strength waning, its presence flickering as the darkness closed in. "No," Jaxon whispered, his voice filled with desperation. "We can't give up now." But the fragment was too weak. It had fought valiantly, but it was no match for the full force of the darkness. Jaxon could feel it slipping away, its presence fading as the darkness overwhelmed it. And then, with a final, desperate push, the darkness struck. Jaxon felt a jolt of pain as the darkness slammed into him, a wave of cold malevolence that seemed to tear through his very soul. He cried out, his vision going dark as he felt himself being pulled into the abyss. But just as he was about to be consumed, something happened. A burst of light, bright and pure, erupted from within him, pushing the darkness back. It was a light unlike anything he had ever seen before, radiant, powerful, and filled with a warmth that seemed to reach into the deepest corners of his being. The darkness recoiled, hissing and writhing as the light drove it back. And in that moment, Jaxon realized the truth. The light was him. It was his will, his determination, his very essence. It was the part of him that had refused to give up, refused to let the darkness win. And it was more powerful than he had ever imagined. With a surge of strength, Jaxon pushed back against the darkness, driving it further and further back into the recesses of the ship's mind. The light grew brighter, filling the ship's consciousness with its radiance, burning away the shadows. And then, with a final, triumphant burst, the darkness was gone. Jaxon gasped, collapsing to the floor as the ship's mind finally settled. The battle was over. and they had won. But the victory had come at a cost. The fragment of the Creator's consciousness was gone, its strength completely drained in the final battle. Jaxon could no longer sense its presence within the ship's mind. It had given everything to help him fight the darkness, and now it was gone. Let's continue right where we left off. Jaxon could no longer sense its presence within the ship's mind. It had given everything to help him fight the darkness, and now it was gone. For a moment, Jaxon just lay there, panting, his body trembling from the effort. The ship was silent, the once overwhelming tide of memories and thoughts now quieted, leaving him alone with his thoughts. He had won, but the cost of victory weighed heavily on him. The ship's creators, once so powerful and wise, were now truly gone, leaving behind only the remnants of their legacy. Slowly, Jaxon pushed himself up, his body protesting every movement. He glanced around the control room, taking in the sight of the ancient technology, now dormant and lifeless. But something was different. The once oppressive atmosphere had lifted, replaced by a sense of calm and peace that Jaxon hadn't felt since he first set foot on the ship. The eye's voice, now clear and steady, broke the silence. "You did it, Jaxon. The shadow has been contained." Jaxon nodded weakly, his thoughts still scattered. But the fragment, the creators, they're gone. They sacrificed themselves to help you, Jaxon. Their purpose was fulfilled. You saved the ship, and possibly much more. Jaxon closed his eyes, letting the eye's words sink in. It was a bittersweet victory, but one that he knew was necessary. The ship was safe now, and the darkness had been pushed back. But he couldn't shake the feeling of loss, the knowledge that the beings who had once created this magnificent vessel were truly gone. With a deep breath, he pushed those thoughts aside. There would be time to mourn later. For now, he had a job to do. Jaxon stood up, his movements more deliberate as he regained his strength. He knew that the ship was still far from operational, and there were likely more challenges ahead. But he felt a renewed sense of purpose, a determination to see this mission through to the end. He approached the main console, his hands hovering over the ancient controls. Now that the darkness was gone, he could feel the ship responding to his presence, its systems slowly coming back online. Lights flickered to life across the control room, and the hum of power resonated through the walls. As the ship's systems reactivated, Jaxon could sense the vastness of the vessel stretching out before him. It was like waking up from a long sleep, the ship slowly coming back to life after centuries of dormancy. But there was still much to do. The ship's systems were damaged, and its core infrastructure was weakened by centuries of neglect and the recent battle. Jaxon knew that if he was going to get the ship operational again, he would need to fix the damaged systems and stabilize its core. He took a deep breath, mentally preparing himself for the task ahead. The ship's memories and knowledge were still accessible to him, and he knew he could draw upon them to help him navigate the complex repairs. But he would have to be careful. The ship was ancient, and its technology was unlike anything he had ever seen before. As he began to work, Jaxon realized just how daunting the task ahead was. The ship's systems were vast and interconnected, a complex web of technology that had been built by beings far more advanced than anything humanity had ever known. But he was undeterred. He had come this far, and he wasn't going to back down now. Hours turned into days as Jaxon threw himself into the repairs. He worked tirelessly, navigating the ship's complex systems and making the necessary repairs to stabilize its core. The AI was a constant presence, guiding him through the process, its voice a steady companion in the silence of the ship. But as he worked, Jaxon began to notice something strange. The ship's systems were responding to him in ways he hadn't anticipated. It was as if the ship itself was helping him, guiding his hands as he made repairs, its technology adapting to his presence. At first, he thought it was just his imagination, but the more he worked, the more he became convinced that the ship was alive in some way. It was as if the ship had a consciousness of its own, a mind that was slowly awakening as he repaired its systems. The AI seemed to confirm his suspicions. The ship is sentient, Jaxon. It was designed to learn, to adapt to its surroundings. The creators gave it a mind of its own to navigate the complexities of the universe. Jaxon paused, his hands stilling over the console. So the ship is alive. In a sense, yes, it is not alive in the way you or I are, but it has a consciousness, a mind that is capable of thought and adaptation. Jaxon considered this for a moment, a sense of awe washing over him. He was standing inside a living ship, a vessel that had been designed to explore the farthest reaches of the universe, equipped with a mind of its own. It was a testament to the Creator's ingenuity, a marvel of technology that was beyond anything he had ever imagined. But with that realization came a sense of responsibility. The ship was alive, and it was relying on him to help it survive. The bond between them was growing stronger with each passing day, and Jaxon could feel the ship responding to his efforts, its systems slowly coming back to life under his guidance. As the days turned into weeks, Jaxon made steady progress. The ship's core was stabilizing, its systems becoming more responsive as he continued to make repairs. But there was still much to do. The ship was ancient, and many of its systems were severely damaged, requiring extensive repairs to bring them back online. But Jaxon was undeterred. He had faced the darkness and won, and he knew that with the ship's help, he could overcome any challenge that lay ahead. And as he worked, he began to realize something else. The ship was not just a vessel. It was a partner, a companion on this journey through the stars. They were in this together, and he was determined to see it through to the end. One day, as Jaxon was working on a particularly complex repair, he felt a sudden surge of energy run through the ship. It was as if the ship had come alive, its systems humming with newfound vitality. The lights flickered, and the control room was bathed in a warm, golden glow. Jaxon looked around in amazement, feeling the ship's consciousness reaching out to him, its presence stronger than ever before. The bond between them had deepened, and he could feel the ship's mind merging with his own, their thoughts becoming one. At that moment, he understood. The ship was no longer just a machine. It was a living, breathing entity, a being with thoughts and feelings of its own. And it had chosen him, bonded with him in a way that went beyond mere technology. The Eye's voice, now stronger and more vibrant, echoed in his mind. You have done well, Jaxon. The ship is alive because of you. You have given it a new purpose, a new life. Jaxon smiled, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment. He had done it. He had brought the ship back to life, not just as a machine, but as a living entity, and together they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. But as he looked out into the vastness of space, Jaxon knew that their journey was far from over. The universe was vast and full of mysteries, and there were still many dangers lurking in the shadows. But he wasn't afraid. He had the ship by his side, and together they were unstoppable. The ancient ship, now fully awakened, hummed with power as it prepared to embark on its next journey. Jaxon could feel its excitement, its eagerness to explore the farthest reaches of the universe, to seek out new knowledge and understanding. And as they set off into the unknown, Jaxon knew that they were just getting started. There was still so much to discover, so much to learn. The universe was vast, and they were ready to explore it together. As Jaxon sat in the command chair, he felt the ship's consciousness pulsating through him like a steady heartbeat. The bond between them had grown so strong that it was hard to tell where he ended and the ship began. His thoughts seemed to blend seamlessly with its systems, creating a symbiotic relationship that allowed them to operate as one. The starfield stretched out before them, a vast, twinkling canvas that promised infinite possibilities. Jaxon could feel the ship's anticipation, a mixture of curiosity and eagerness to explore. The ship was alive, its thoughts and emotions intertwined with his own, and together they shared a common goal: to venture into the unknown and uncover the secrets of the universe. But even as they prepared to leave the barren system that had been their home for so long, Jaxon knew there was still work to be done. The ship was functional, but it was far from its full potential. Many of its systems were still damaged, and the full extent of its capabilities remained a mystery. "AI," Jaxon said, his voice echoing through the empty control room. "Let's do a full diagnostic. I need to know exactly what we're working with here." The AI's voice, now more confident and clear than ever before, responded immediately. "Initiating diagnostic sequence now." Jaxon watched as the ship's systems began to light up one by one, each displaying a stream of data that flowed across the main console. The ship's diagnostics were incredibly detailed, far beyond anything Jaxon had ever encountered in human technology. It was like watching a living organism's vital signs being monitored, each system connected to the next in a complex web of interdependencies. As the diagnostic progressed, Jaxon began to get a clearer picture of the ship's current state. The power core, though stable, was operating at only 70% capacity, which limited the ship's ability to travel at high speeds or sustain prolonged operations. The weapons systems, while still functional, were outdated and in need of upgrades. The shielding was similarly weakened, offering only partial protection against cosmic radiation and potential threats. But it wasn't all bad news. The ship's navigational systems were fully operational, and its star charts contained data on regions of space that humanity had never even dreamed of. The archives were filled with information, some of which was so advanced that it made Jaxon's head spin just trying to comprehend it. There were records of alien civilizations, long-forgotten star systems, and advanced technologies that could revolutionize entire worlds. One of the most intriguing discoveries was the ship's cloaking system. Jaxon had seen the technology in action during his initial exploration of the ship, but now he understood just how advanced it was. The cloaking system didn't just render the ship invisible to sensors, it actually bent light and other forms of energy around the ship, making it undetectable even to the most sophisticated tracking methods. It was a technological marvel, far beyond anything humanity had ever developed. As the diagnostic came to an end, Jaxon leaned back in his chair, his mind racing with possibilities. The ship was a treasure trove of knowledge and technology, a vessel that could take him to the farthest reaches of the universe. But he knew that if he wanted to unlock its full potential, he would need to make some serious upgrades. "AI, prioritize repairs on the power core and shielding," Jaxon said, his voice firm with determination. "We need full capacity if we're going to handle whatever's out there." "Affirmative. Prioritizing. Repairs on power, core, and shielding," the AI responded. Jaxon stood up and began to pace the control room, his mind racing with thoughts of the journey ahead. The ship was powerful, but he knew they would encounter dangers far beyond anything they had faced so far. There were still remnants of the darkness lurking in the corners of the galaxy, and who knew what other threats lay in wait. But Jaxon wasn't one to back down from a challenge. He had come this far, and he wasn't about to stop now. The ship was more than just a tool. It was a partner, a living entity that had chosen him to be its captain. Together, they would face whatever the universe threw at them. As he continued to think, an idea began to form in his mind. The ship's archives were filled with advanced technology, some of which could be used to enhance the ship's capabilities even further. However, he would need to find the necessary resources to build and implement these upgrades. It was a daunting task, but Jaxon knew that with the ship's help, he could make it happen. "AI, let's start by scanning the surrounding star systems for any resources we can use," Jaxon said. "We need materials for the upgrades, and we're not going to find them sitting here." "Scanning. Surrounding. Star. Systems. For. Resources," the AI replied. Jaxon watched as the ship's sensors swept through the nearby star systems, searching for any signs of valuable resources. The display screen lit up with data, showing various planets and asteroids that contained the materials they needed. It wasn't long before the AI identified a nearby system that was rich in the necessary elements. Located, resource-rich system. Within range, the AI reported. It contains the materials needed for upgrades. Great, Jaxon said, a smile spreading across his face. Set a course for the system. Let's go get what we need. The ship's engines hummed to life, and Jaxon felt the familiar sensation of acceleration as they began their journey to the resource-rich system. The stars outside the viewport shifted as the ship changed direction, the vast expanse of space beckoning them forward. As they traveled, Jaxon couldn't help but think about how far they had come. Just a short time ago, he had been stranded on a dying planet, unsure if he would ever see the stars again. But now, he was the captain of an ancient, living ship, traveling to the farthest reaches of the universe in search of knowledge and adventure. But even as he marveled at their progress, Jaxon knew that this was only the beginning. There were still countless mysteries to uncover, dangers to face, and challenges to overcome. The universe was vast, and they had only just scratched the surface of what was out there. As the ship neared the resource-rich system, Jaxon began to prepare for the task ahead. He knew that harvesting the necessary materials would be no small feat, especially with the ship's current state. But he was confident that with the ship's help, they could accomplish anything. The AI's voice broke through his thoughts. Approaching. Resource-rich. System. Preparing. To. Initiate. Resource. Extraction. Jaxon nodded, his hands moving over the controls as he prepared the ship for the extraction process. The ship's systems were responding smoothly, their bond allowing them to work together with perfect synchronization. As they entered the system, Jaxon's sensors detected a large asteroid belt teeming with the materials they needed. The asteroids were rich in the necessary elements, and Jaxon knew that this was their opportunity to gather what they needed for the upgrades. "Let's get to work," Jaxon said, his voice filled with determination. The ship's mining systems activated, sending out powerful beams of energy that began to break apart the asteroids, extracting valuable materials from within. Jaxon watched as the ship's storage bays filled with the raw elements, his mind already racing with ideas for the upgrades. But as they continued to extract resources, Jaxon's sensors picked up something unusual. There was a strange energy signature coming from one of the larger asteroids, something that didn't match the usual readings of the materials they were extracting. "AI, what's that?" Jaxon asked, his eyes narrowing as he focused on the anomaly. "Unknown. Energy. Signature. Detected. Within. Asteroid," the AI responded. "Further analysis required." Jaxon's curiosity was piqued. The energy signature was unlike anything he had encountered before, and he knew that it could be something valuable or dangerous. "Let's take a closer look," Jaxon said, his voice tinged with excitement. The ship adjusted its course, moving closer to the asteroid that was emitting the strange energy signature. As they approached, Jaxon could see that the asteroid was larger than the others, its surface covered in jagged rocks and metallic veins. The ship's sensors continued to analyze the anomaly, and the readings became more complex and intriguing. Whatever was inside the asteroid was giving off a powerful energy that seemed to resonate with the ship's systems. "This is interesting," Jaxon muttered to himself, his mind racing with possibilities. As they closed in on the asteroid, the ship's sensors finally managed to penetrate the surface, revealing what lay beneath. Jaxon's eyes widened as the data streamed across the console. Buried deep within the asteroid was an ancient structure, something that had been hidden away for eons. The energy signature was coming from the heart of the structure, pulsing with a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Jaxon's heart began to race. This was no ordinary asteroid, it was a treasure trove of ancient technology, possibly as old as the ship itself. and it was clear that whatever was inside had been hidden away for a reason. But Jaxon knew that he couldn't resist the pull of the unknown. This was what he had been searching for, a mystery that could hold the key to unlocking the ship's full potential. "Prepare for an excavation," Jaxon ordered, his voice steady with determination. "We're going in." The ship's systems responded instantly, shifting into excavation mode as they prepared to delve into the heart of the asteroid. Jaxon felt a surge of excitement as the ship's mining beams began to cut through the asteroid's surface, revealing the ancient structure buried within. The beams sliced through rock and metal with precision, exposing a large chamber that seemed to glow with an eerie, otherworldly light. As the excavation continued, Jaxon's anticipation grew. He could feel the ship's excitement as well, a palpable sense of curiosity and wonder that mirrored his own. The ancient structure was clearly of immense significance, and the energy signature emanating from it was unlike anything they had encountered before. Finally, after what seemed like hours of painstaking work, the excavation was complete. The outer shell of the ancient structure had been removed, revealing an intricately designed doorway that led into the heart of the asteroid. The door was adorned with alien symbols and markings, its surface shimmering with a faint, pulsating energy. Jaxon approached the doorway with a mix of awe and trepidation. The ship's sensors were still picking up strong energy readings from within, and he knew that whatever lay behind the door could be both fascinating and potentially dangerous. "AI, initiate a scan of the interior," Jaxon instructed. "I want to know what we're dealing with before we proceed." "Scanning. Interior of ancient structure," the AI responded. The console screen displayed a detailed scan of the interior, revealing a vast chamber filled with alien technology and artifacts. The chamber was lined with strange machinery, glowing with a soft, blue light. In the center of the room was a large, pedestal-like structure, upon which rested an object that emitted a powerful, pulsating energy. "This is incredible," Jaxon murmured, his eyes fixed on the object at the center of the chamber. "Whatever that is, it's clearly important." Object in center of chamber, emitting high levels of energy, the AI reported. "Further analysis required." Jaxon took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. He knew that entering the chamber could be risky, but the potential rewards were too great to ignore. The ship's bond with him was strong, and he trusted in its ability to help him navigate the dangers. "Prepare to breach the chamber," Jaxon said firmly. "We need to get a closer look at that object." The ship's systems hummed to life as they prepared for the breach. The ancient doorway creaked open, revealing the chamber in all its alien splendor. Jaxon stepped through the threshold, his heart pounding with excitement and apprehension. The chamber was larger than he had expected, its walls lined with alien technology that seemed to hum with energy. The object on the pedestal was a large, crystalline structure, its surface covered in intricate patterns and glowing with a soft, blue light. Jaxon approached the pedestal, carefully examining the object. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, a masterpiece of alien craftsmanship that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The energy it emitted was mesmerizing, a steady pulse that seemed to resonate with the very fabric of the universe. As he reached out to touch the object, a sudden surge of energy shot through the chamber. The air crackled with electricity, and Jaxon felt a strange sensation as if the object was connecting with his mind. "AI, what's happening?" Jaxon asked, his voice tense. "Unknown. Energy. Surge. Detected. In. Chamber," the AI replied. "Object. Appears to be activating." The object's glow intensified, its pulsations growing faster and more rhythmic. The energy surged through the chamber, creating a swirling vortex of light and power that enveloped Jaxon. He felt a wave of sensations flood his mind, images, sounds, and emotions that seemed to come from another time and place. Jaxon closed his eyes, allowing himself to be immersed in the experience. The sensations were overwhelming, but he could sense a message behind them, a communication from the creators of the object. It was as if the object was trying to convey something to him, to share its knowledge and wisdom. Suddenly, the energy surge subsided, and the chamber fell silent once more. Jaxon opened his eyes, feeling a deep sense of awe and wonder. The object had finished its activation, and the chamber was now filled with a calm, serene light. "AI, any data on what just happened?" Jaxon asked, his voice tinged with curiosity. "Energy surge appears to have initiated a data transfer," the AI explained. "New information has been acquired." The console screen displayed a new stream of data, filled with information about the object and its purpose. The object was a repository of ancient knowledge, a data core that contained the collective wisdom of an advanced alien civilization. It held information on technology, history, and even a record of the civilization's encounters with other species. "This is incredible," Jaxon said, his voice filled with excitement. "We've just tapped into an entire repository of alien knowledge." Data core contains valuable information on advanced technology and interstellar civilizations, the AI confirmed. "It will be a valuable resource for our journey." Jaxon nodded, feeling a sense of accomplishment. They had discovered something truly remarkable, a treasure trove of knowledge that could change everything they knew about the universe. But there was still much to be done. "Let's extract the data core and return to the ship," Jaxon said, his voice steady. "We need to analyze this information and see how it can help us with the upgrades." The ship's mining systems carefully extracted the data core from the pedestal, and Jaxon watched as it was safely transported back to the ship. The chamber was now quiet, its purpose fulfilled. As they made their way back to the ship, Jaxon couldn't help but think about the implications of their discovery. The data core held the key to unlocking new technologies and understanding the mysteries of the universe. It was a chance to advance humanity's knowledge and explore new frontiers. But with that opportunity came responsibility. Jaxon knew that they had to use the knowledge wisely to ensure that it would benefit all of humanity and not just a select few. As they set a course for the next destination, Jaxon felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but with the ship's advanced technology and the knowledge they had just acquired, they were better equipped than ever to face the challenges that lay ahead. The universe was vast and full of mysteries, and Jaxon was ready to explore it all. With the ship by his side and the data core's knowledge at their disposal, they were prepared for whatever the future might hold. And as the ship sailed through the stars, Jaxon knew that their adventure had only just begun. There were still countless worlds to explore, civilizations to encounter, and secrets to uncover. The universe was waiting, and they were ready to meet it head-on. As the ship glided through the stars toward their next destination, the mood aboard was one of cautious optimism. The crew, though small, was energized by their recent discovery and the promise of the knowledge contained within the ancient data core. Jaxon took a moment to reflect on their progress as he reviewed the information being relayed from the ship's systems and the newly acquired data core. The ship's engineers worked tirelessly to integrate the new data into the ship's systems. They were reconfiguring the ship's hardware and software to accommodate the advanced technologies revealed by the data core. The energy-efficient drive systems, advanced shield generators, and new propulsion technologies were among the most exciting prospects. Each upgrade was meticulously planned and executed, transforming the ship into a vessel of unprecedented capabilities. Meanwhile, Jaxon himself was engrossed in studying the alien data core. The information it contained was both enlightening and daunting. The core was filled with blueprints, schematics, and theoretical data on various alien technologies. Among them were designs for energy shields that could deflect even the most potent weapons, propulsion systems capable of faster-than-light travel, and even data on biological enhancements that could revolutionize medicine and biology. But there was more than just technological data. The core also contained records of interstellar diplomacy, accounts of wars between alien species, and detailed histories of civilizations that had risen and fallen across the galaxy. It was a comprehensive archive of knowledge, offering insights into the broader cosmic context that humanity was only beginning to understand. As Jaxon delved deeper into the core's data, he encountered a section that intrigued him profoundly. It was a series of documents detailing an ancient civilization's interactions with a mysterious and malevolent force. The descriptions were vague but chilling, referring to an entity that had nearly wiped out entire star systems and left devastation in its wake. AI, run a deep analysis on this section, Jaxon requested. His curiosity piqued. I need to understand more about this threat. The AI's voice resonated through the ship, calm and methodical. Initiating deep analysis on malignant force. As the AI processed the data, Jaxon took the opportunity to reflect on their current situation. They had been fortunate to find such a rich repository of knowledge, but the potential threats suggested by the data core were a sobering reminder of the dangers that lay ahead. The universe was not just a place of wonder and discovery, it was also a realm filled with peril and uncertainty. The AI's analysis soon provided a detailed report. The malignant force, referred to as the eclipsed entity, appears to be a highly destructive force, capable of consuming entire star systems. The entity operates through a form of dark energy and is known to leave remnants of annihilation in its wake. Jaxon's heart raced as he read the report. The eclipsed entity sounded like a formidable adversary, one that could pose a significant threat to their mission and to humanity itself. The data indicated that the entity had been responsible for several catastrophic events across the galaxy, leaving a trail of destruction that few had survived. We need to be prepared for anything, Jaxon said, his voice resolute. Let's review the ship's defensive capabilities and see how we can enhance them using the technology from the data core. The engineers and the ship's AI worked together to implement upgrades based on the core's blueprints. The energy shields were reinforced, the propulsion systems were upgraded to increase speed and maneuverability, and the weapon systems were enhanced to deal with potential threats more effectively. The ship was becoming a formidable vessel, capable of defending itself against the harshest of cosmic dangers. While the upgrades were underway, Jaxon made it a priority to establish a detailed plan for their next steps. They would need to find allies and gather more information on the eclipsed entity. If they were to face such a threat, they would need every advantage they could get. In addition to the technological advancements, Jaxon also began to explore the diplomatic and strategic aspects of its mission. The data core contained records of various alien civilizations that had once been allies or enemies of the ancient species. Understanding these relationships and the political landscape of the galaxy would be crucial for navigating future encounters. As the ship approached the next star system on their journey, Jaxon and his team were ready to continue their exploration. The resources they had gathered, the technologies they had integrated, and the knowledge they had acquired from the data core all pointed to an exciting and challenging future. The new star system was a bustling hub of activity, with several space stations and trade routes crisscrossing its expanse. It was clear that this system was a significant point of commerce and diplomacy in the galaxy. Jaxon hoped that they could find valuable information and potential allies here. AI, scan the system for any signals or communications that might be relevant, Jaxon instructed. We need to get a sense of what's happening in this area. The AI's sensors swept across the system, picking up various transmissions and signals. The data was processed and displayed on the console, revealing a wealth of information about the system's inhabitants and ongoing activities. There are several active space stations and trade hubs, the AI reported. I recommend approaching the largest space station for potential negotiations and information gathering. Jaxon nodded in agreement. Set a course for the largest space station. Let's see what we can learn and who we can meet. The ship adjusted its trajectory, and they made their way toward the bustling space station. As they approached, Jaxon could see the intricate details of the station's structure, its exterior adorned with various symbols and insignia from different species. It was a testament to the diversity of the galaxy and the interactions between its inhabitants. The docking process was smooth, and the ship was soon connected to the station's facilities. Jaxon and his team disembarked, ready to explore the station and seek out valuable information. The space station was a hive of activity, with various alien species moving about and engaging in trade and conversation. Jaxon marveled at the sights and sounds, the vibrant atmosphere a stark contrast to the quiet solitude of their previous locations. "Let's split up and see what we can find," Jaxon suggested to his team. "Look for any information on the eclipsed entity or potential allies who might be willing to help us." As Jaxon wandered through the station, he encountered a range of alien species, each with their customs and technologies. He made contact with traders, diplomats, and engineers, gathering as much information as he could about local politics and recent events. One of the traders he spoke with mentioned a recent disturbance in the system, a series of unexplained phenomena and disappearances that had caused concern among the inhabitants. The trader hinted that the disturbances might be linked to a mysterious faction that had been making waves in the region. Jaxon's interest was piqued. The disturbances could be related to the eclipsed entity, and any information about this mysterious faction could prove valuable in their quest. He made a note to follow up on the lead and continued his exploration of the space station. As he moved through the bustling corridors, he felt a growing sense of purpose. The journey ahead was fraught with challenges, but Jaxon was determined to face them head-on. With the ship's upgrades and the knowledge they had acquired, they were in a strong position to tackle whatever lay ahead. The universe was vast and full of mysteries, and Jaxon was ready to uncover them. As the team regrouped, they shared their findings and discussed their next steps. The information they had gathered suggested that the disturbances in the system were more significant than they had initially realized. There were rumors of a secretive organization operating in the shadows, with possible connections to the eclipsed entity. Jaxon decided to investigate further. They would need to be cautious and strategic in their approach, but the potential rewards were too great to ignore. The knowledge and allies they could gain from this investigation could be crucial in their quest to understand and confront the eclipsed entity. As they prepared to leave the space station and continue their journey, Jaxon couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. The road ahead was uncertain, but with their new resources, knowledge, and allies, they were better equipped than ever to face the challenges that lay in wait. The universe was a place of wonder and danger, and Jaxon was ready to explore it all. The ship, now a powerful and advanced vessel, was his gateway to the stars. Together, they would navigate the unknown and seek out the answers to the galaxy's greatest mysteries. With a final glance at the bustling space station, Jaxon boarded the ship and set a course for their next destination. The adventure was far from over, and the journey ahead promised to be as exciting as it was perilous. And so, with the stars as their guide and the ship as their trusted companion, Jaxon and his team ventured into the depths of the galaxy, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them and uncover the secrets of the universe. Got it. I'll expand the next section to meet the word count requirement and provide a detailed, engaging continuation that aligns with high standards of storytelling. The hum of the ship's engines was a comforting constant as Jaxon and his team continued their journey through the stars. The space station had provided them with more questions than answers, but it had also set them on a new path, a path that promised to be both treacherous and enlightening. Jaxon stood at the ship's command center, his gaze fixed on the star map projected on the main console. The new data from the space station hinted at a covert faction operating in the shadows, a group potentially connected to the mysterious disturbances and, possibly, the eclipsed entity. "AI, plot a course for the coordinates we obtained from the space station," Jaxon said, his voice firm and determined. "We need to investigate these disturbances and see if they lead us to the faction." "Course plotted and ready," the AI responded. "Engaging hyperdrive in 3, 2, 1." The ship's hyperdrive roared to life, propelling them through the fabric of space-time with a burst of acceleration. The stars outside stretched into streaks of light, As they entered faster-than-light travel, the ship's advanced propulsion systems working in harmony to carry them toward their destination. Jaxon took a moment to review the data they had gathered. The disturbances mentioned by the trader were not isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern of anomalies affecting several star systems in the region. It was clear that the disturbances were significant, and their potential link to the eclipsed entity made them all the more critical. "We need to be ready for anything," Jaxon said, addressing his team. "The disturbances could be a sign of something much larger at play. Stay vigilant and keep an eye out for any unusual activity." The crew nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting a mix of excitement and apprehension. They were on the cusp of uncovering something monumental, but the unknown nature of their investigation made it all the more daunting. The journey through hyperspace was smooth, and soon the ship emerged from faster-than-light travel near their target coordinates. The star system before them was a stark contrast to the bustling hub they had left behind. It was a remote and desolate system, with only a few scattered planets and an eerie silence that hung over the space. Jaxon peered through the observation window, his eyes scanning the emptiness. AI scans the system for any signs of activity or anomalies. Scanning. System. For anomalies, the AI responded. No significant signals detected at this time. The absence of signals was both reassuring and unsettling. It meant that there were no immediate threats, but it also suggested that the disturbances might be concealed or otherwise hidden from standard detection methods. "Let's deploy a series of probe drones to scan the system in more detail," Jaxon instructed. "We need to get a closer look at the planets and any potential hidden bases." The ship's drones were launched, their sensors designed to detect even the faintest traces of activity or technology. As the drones dispersed throughout the system, Jaxon and his team monitored the data streams, searching for any clues that might lead them to the elusive faction. Hours passed as the probes conducted their scans. The data began to trickle in, revealing a series of intriguing findings. One of the probes had detected a faint, irregular energy signature emanating from the surface of a distant planet. The signature was weak but distinct, suggesting the presence of some form of technology or installation. "AI, focus on the energy signature detected by Probe 3, Jaxon said. "Let's see if we can get more information about its origin." The AI adjusted the sensors to zero in on the energy signature, and the console displayed a detailed readout of the probe's findings. The energy signature appeared to originate from an underground facility, buried deep within the planet's crust. Significant energy source detected underground, the AI reported. Facility appears to be of considerable size. Jaxon's pulse quickened. An underground facility could be a potential hideout for the faction they were searching for. The next step was to investigate the facility and determine its significance. "Prepare a landing party," Jaxon ordered. "We're going down to that planet to investigate the facility. We need to gather as much information as we can." The crew suited up in their exploration gear and boarded the shuttle, ready for the descent. The planet's surface was a rugged, barren landscape, with jagged rocks and craters scattered across its terrain. The atmosphere was thin, and the temperature was extreme, making the environment inhospitable for extended periods. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere and landed near the location of the energy signature. Jaxon and his team disembarked, their gear providing the necessary protection against the harsh conditions. They made their way toward the site where the energy signature was strongest, following the readings from their equipment. The entrance to the underground facility was concealed by a rocky outcrop, its location hidden from view. Jaxon and his team carefully navigated the terrain, using their scanners to locate the facility's entrance. After several hours of searching, they discovered a hidden hatch embedded in the rock. "AI, run a diagnostic on the hatch's security systems," Jaxon instructed. "We need to ensure that we can gain access without triggering any alarms." The AI analyzed the hatch's security protocols and provided a detailed assessment. The hatch was equipped with advanced locking mechanisms and sensor arrays designed to detect unauthorized access. Security systems are sophisticated, the AI reported. Override codes available in data core. Jaxon accessed the data core's information and input the necessary override codes. The hatch's locking mechanisms disengaged with a soft hiss, revealing a dark, narrow passage leading into the facility. "Let's move," Jaxon said, leading the way as the team entered the facility. The interior of the facility was dimly lit, with flickering lights casting long shadows across the walls. The air was cool and stale, a stark contrast to the harsh environment outside. The facility's design was utilitarian, with a series of interconnected corridors and rooms. As they ventured deeper into the facility, they encountered various signs of activity. There were control panels, data terminals, and scattered equipment, indicating that the facility was still in use. The walls were adorned with symbols and markings that Jaxon did not recognize, hinting at the presence of a different culture or technology. The team followed the energy readings to a central chamber, where they discovered a large, cylindrical structure embedded in the floor. The structure was covered in alien symbols and emitted a low, rhythmic hum. It was clear that this was the source of the energy signature. "AI analyzed the cylindrical structure," Jaxon said. "We need to determine its function and significance." The AI conducted a thorough analysis of the structure, providing a detailed report. The structure appeared to be a powerful energy generator, designed to harness and store vast amounts of energy. It was likely used to power advanced technology or systems within the facility. Energy generator detected. With high capacity, the AI confirmed. Purpose of generator unclear, but it is integral to facilities operations. Jaxon examined the generator closely, noting its advanced design and the complexity of its components. The generator was clearly of significant technological value, and its presence suggested that the facility was more than just a simple outpost. As they continued their exploration, they discovered additional rooms and sections of the facility. Some of the rooms contained research data and technical documents, while others appeared to be storage areas for supplies and equipment. One room, in particular, caught Jaxon's attention. It was a command center, filled with monitors and communication equipment. The walls were lined with maps and charts, depicting various star systems and regions of interest. "AI, download all available data from the command center," Jaxon instructed. "We need to review this information and see if it provides any clues about the faction or their activities." The AI initiated a data transfer, extracting all relevant information from the command center systems. The download process took several minutes, during which Jaxon and his team continued to investigate the facility. The data revealed several interesting details. The facility was part of a network of similar installations scattered throughout the region. The network was used for monitoring and managing various operations, including resource extraction, research, and strategic planning. The maps and charts indicated that the faction was involved in several key areas, including the extraction of rare minerals and the development of advanced technologies. There were also references to covert operations and intelligence gathering, suggesting that the faction was involved in espionage and manipulation on a galactic scale. "We've uncovered some valuable information," Jaxon said, reviewing the data. "It looks like this faction is more influential than we initially thought. They're involved in resource extraction, technology development, and intelligence operations." The team continued their investigation, searching for any additional clues or evidence. They found several items of interest, including prototypes of advanced weapons and devices, as well as documents detailing ongoing projects and objectives. As they prepared to leave the facility, Jaxon couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. They had uncovered a significant amount of information and gathered valuable data on the faction's activities. The knowledge they had obtained would be crucial for their ongoing mission and their efforts to confront the eclipsed entity. "AI, "Initiate a full system shutdown of the facility," Jaxon instructed. "We don't want to leave any trace of our presence." The AI complied, sending a shutdown command to the facility's systems. The facility's lights flickered and dimmed, and the energy generator powered down with a low hum. Jaxon and his team exited the facility and returned to the shuttle, their minds filled with the implications of their discoveries. The information they had gathered would require further analysis, but it was clear that the faction they were dealing with was a formidable opponent. As they made their way back to the ship, Jaxon reviewed the data and formulated a plan for their next steps. They would need to continue their investigation, build alliances, and prepare for potential confrontations. The galaxy was a vast and complex place, filled with both wonder and danger. Jaxon and his team were on the front lines of a cosmic struggle, and their journey was far from over. With the ship's systems upgraded and their knowledge of the faction's operations, they were better equipped to face the challenges ahead. The path to understanding the eclipsed entity and uncovering the secrets of the galaxy would be long and arduous, but Jaxon was determined to see it through. As the ship prepared for departure, Jaxon took one last look at the desolate planet. It was a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the countless mysteries it held. The journey ahead promised to be filled with both peril and opportunity, and Jaxon was ready to face whatever came their way. With a final command, the ship's engines roared to life, and they set a course for their next destination. The adventure continued, and Jaxon was eager to see where it would lead. The ship's crew had barely settled back into their routine before Jaxon was pulled into a vortex of new challenges. The data extracted from the facility had unveiled a web of intrigue, connecting disparate threads across the galaxy. The eclipsed entity's shadow loomed larger than ever, and the crew needed to decipher its full extent. In the ship's briefing room, Jaxon convened a meeting with his core team. The room was filled with holographic displays showcasing the recent findings. The walls were lined with star maps, documents, and schematics of the alien technology they had encountered. "All right, team, we've gathered a lot of information from the facility," Jaxon began, addressing his team. "Our next move is crucial. We need to analyze this data thoroughly and determine our next steps." Dr. Elena Torres, the ship's chief scientist, was already poring over the technical documents. Her brow furrowed as she absorbed the information. "The technology we found is incredibly advanced. It appears the facility was developing new forms of energy and weaponry. We need to understand how this technology could be used against us, or potentially for us." Lieutenant Marcus Kane, the ship's tactical officer, examined the star maps with a critical eye. The faction's operations are spread across several key locations. They're extracting rare minerals and conducting research at multiple sites. If we can disrupt their supply lines or research, it might weaken their hold. Jaxon nodded, appreciating their insights. "Agreed. We need to strike a balance between direct action and strategic planning. We can't afford to make any mistakes." The team spent hours analyzing the data, piecing together the connections between the various facilities and operations. The faction's activities were indeed extensive, involving not only technological development, but also political and economic manipulation. They were influencing governments and factions across multiple star systems, consolidating their power and extending their reach. One document, in particular, caught Jaxon's attention. It detailed a covert operation involving a secret project known as Project Genesis. The project aimed to develop a new type of weapon capable of altering the fundamental fabric of reality. The implications were staggering, and Jaxon knew they had to investigate further. AI cross-referenced the Project Genesis data with known locations of similar projects, Jaxon instructed. "We need to identify any potential connections or additional information." The AI processed the request and provided a series of potential locations where similar projects might be underway. Among the list was a remote research station on the edge of a nebula, a site known for its secrecy and high security measures. "This research station could be critical," Jaxon said, examining the details. "We need to make it our next destination. It might give us more insights into Project Genesis and its potential impact. The crew prepared for their departure, gathering necessary supplies and updating their equipment for the new mission. The research station's location posed significant challenges, including navigating through the dense nebula and avoiding detection by the station's advanced security systems. As the ship set course for the nebula, Jaxon reviewed the mission parameters with his team. "We'll need to approach this mission with caution. The research station is likely to be heavily guarded, and we'll need to rely on stealth and intelligence to get the information we need." The ship's sensors detected the nebula's dense plasma fields as they approached. The ship's navigation systems were calibrated to handle the complex environment, but it was still a treacherous journey. The crew remained focused, their eyes on their instruments and their minds on the mission. The nebula was a swirling mass of colorful gases and energetic particles, creating a beautiful but hazardous environment. The ship maneuvered carefully through the shifting clouds, using the nebula's natural interference to mask their approach. After several hours of navigating the nebula, the research station came into view. It was a sleek, cylindrical structure, partially obscured by the surrounding gases. The station's exterior was covered in a series of defensive arrays and sensor platforms, designed to detect and intercept any unauthorized vessels. Jaxon and his team prepared to make their approach. The ship's stealth systems were activated, and the crew worked in tandem to ensure a smooth entry. The goal was to avoid detection and gain access to the research station without alerting its occupants. As they approached the station, Jaxon's heart raced with anticipation. The research station was a critical piece in the puzzle they were trying to solve, and the information it held could be pivotal in their fight against the eclipsed entity. The ship's stealth systems worked flawlessly, allowing them to slip past the station's outer defenses. They docked at a remote service bay, a less obvious entry point that would minimize their chances of being detected. Jaxon and his team disembarked from the ship and made their way to the station's entrance. The airlock doors opened with a soft hiss, and they stepped into a dimly lit corridor. The station's interior was cold and sterile, with metal walls and subdued lighting. "We need to find the main control room and access the station's data archives," Jaxon said, leading the way. "Keep your eyes open for any security measures or guards." The team moved cautiously through the station, their footsteps echoing in the empty corridors. They encountered several security checkpoints and surveillance cameras, but their stealth training and equipment allowed them to bypass these obstacles. After a series of twists and turns, they reached the control room. The room was filled with banks of monitors, data terminals, and communication equipment. Jaxon and Dr. Torres immediately set to work, accessing the station's data archives and searching for any information related to Project Genesis. The data was extensive and complex, but Dr. Torres's expertise allowed her to navigate through the files with relative ease. As she delved deeper into the archives, she uncovered details about Project Genesis's objectives and progress. "Project Genesis is further along than we anticipated," Dr. Torres reported. "They've developed prototypes of the weapon and conducted several test runs. The weapon is designed to manipulate energy fields on a massive scale, potentially altering entire star systems." Jaxon's mind raced with the implications. If they succeed in developing this weapon, it could shift the balance of power across the galaxy. "We need to find a way to stop this project from reaching completion." As they continued to sift through the data, they discovered plans for a critical test of the weapon, a demonstration of its capabilities that was scheduled to take place in a remote region of the galaxy. The test was set to occur within the next few days, providing a tight window for action. "We need to disrupt this test and gather as much information as we can," Jaxon said. "It's our best chance to understand the weapon and its potential impact." The team prepared to leave the research station and return to their ship. They needed to act quickly to intercept the test and prevent the weapon from being fully operational. As they made their way back to the docking bay, Jaxon couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. The nebula's vibrant colors danced around them as they departed the research station. The ship's engines roared to life, and they set course for the test location, a remote star system on the edge of known space. The journey to the test site was fraught with tension. The crew was focused and determined, their minds on the impending mission. The information they had gathered was invaluable, and their next steps would be critical in determining the fate of the galaxy. As they approached the test site, Jaxon and his team prepared for the final phase of their mission. They would need to infiltrate the testing facility, gather detailed data on the weapon, and sabotage the project if possible. The stakes were higher than ever, and the pressure was intense. But Jaxon and his team were resolute in their mission. They had come this far, and they were prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With a final command, the ship's systems were adjusted for stealth and infiltration. The crew readied their gear and focused on the task at hand. The test of Project Genesis was about to begin, and Jaxon was determined to ensure that it would not proceed unchecked. The ship moved silently through the void, its stealth systems cloaking it from the watchful eyes of the enemy. Jaxon sat at the command console, his gaze fixed on the distant star system they were approaching. The test site for Project Genesis loomed on the horizon, a critical juncture in their mission that could determine the fate of countless lives across the galaxy. The data they had gathered from the research station revealed that the test facility was a formidable stronghold, heavily fortified and surrounded by an array of defensive systems. The weapons demonstration was scheduled to take place in a remote region of the system, far from any inhabited world, but close enough to test its capabilities effectively. Jaxon called a meeting with his team to finalize their plan. The briefing room was abuzz with anticipation as they gathered around the holographic displays. "All right, team," Jaxon began. "Our objective is to infiltrate the test facility, gather as much information as we can, and sabotage the test if possible. The data we retrieved indicates that the facility is equipped with advanced security measures, so we'll need to be cautious." Dr. Elena Torres nodded in agreement. "We'll need to bypass their security systems and gain access to the core control room where the test will be initiated. If we can disable the weapon or disrupt the test, it could buy us valuable time to counteract their plans." Lieutenant Marcus Kane reviewed the tactical data, his expression serious. "The facility has multiple layers of security, including automated defenses and elite guard units. We'll need to use our stealth capabilities and coordinate our actions to avoid detection." Jaxon outlined the plan. "We'll approach the facility under cover of the nebula, using its interference to mask our presence. Once we're within range, we'll deploy a series of diversionary tactics to draw attention away from our entry point. Our primary focus will be on the control room and the weapon test area." The team spent the next few hours preparing for the operation. They reviewed their roles, checked their equipment, and synchronized their actions. The tension in the air was palpable as they readied themselves for the high-stakes mission. As the ship approached the test site, the crew remained on high alert. The nebula's swirling gases provided a natural shield, but it also created unpredictable conditions. The ship's sensors were calibrated to navigate through the turbulence, and Jaxon's experienced piloting kept them on course. The test facility emerged from the nebula's haze, a sprawling complex of metallic structures and energy shields. The facility's outer perimeter was heavily guarded, with automated turrets and surveillance drones patrolling the area. The team's stealth systems allowed them to slip past these defenses, and they set their sights on the facility's main entrance. Jaxon and his team deployed their diversionary devices, drones equipped with holographic projectors and signal jammers. The devices created false readings and disturbances, drawing the attention of the facility's guards and security systems. With the perimeter defenses distracted, the team approached the facility's entrance. The airlock doors opened smoothly, and they stepped into a dimly lit corridor. The facility's interior was cold and sterile, with an unsettling quietness that contrasted sharply with the activity outside. The team moved quickly and quietly through the corridors, their footsteps muffled by the sound-dampening materials in their boots. They navigated through a series of security checkpoints and surveillance cameras, using their advanced stealth technology to avoid detection. Dr. Torres led the way, using her expertise to bypass security systems and access restricted areas. They encountered several security patrols, but careful timing and coordination allowed them to evade detection. After navigating through a labyrinth of corridors and access tunnels, they reached the control room. The room was filled with banks of monitors and data terminals, all displaying real-time information about the facility's operations. The atmosphere was tense as the team set to work, focusing on gathering data and preparing for the weapon test. Jaxon and Dr. Torres accessed the control terminals, quickly analyzing the information displayed. The weapon was a formidable piece of technology, designed to manipulate energy fields on a massive scale. The test would involve a series of calibration sequences, culminating in a demonstration of the weapon's capabilities. "We've got a limited window before the test begins," Jaxon said. "We need to disable the weapon and disrupt the test sequence as soon as possible." The team worked efficiently, bypassing security protocols and overriding the facility's systems. They initiated a series of countermeasures designed to disrupt the weapon's calibration and prevent the test from proceeding as planned. The facility's alarms suddenly blared, indicating that the security systems had detected an anomaly. The team's diversionary tactics had succeeded, but their presence had been detected, and the facility was now on high alert. "Time to move," Jaxon ordered. "We need to get to the weapons test area and prevent it from being activated." The team raced through the corridors, their movements swift and precise. They encountered increased resistance as the facility's guards and automated defenses responded to the security breach. The team's combat training and advanced weaponry allowed them to fend off the guards and make their way to the test area. The test area was a vast chamber filled with intricate machinery and energy conduits. The weapon's core unit was prominently displayed, surrounded by a series of control panels and diagnostic equipment. Dr. Torres worked quickly to disable the weapon's core unit, while the rest of the team provided cover and dealt with any remaining guards. The facility's defenses were formidable, but the team's determination and skill allowed them to overcome the obstacles. With the weapon's core unit disabled and the test sequence disrupted, the facility's systems went into emergency lockdown. The team made their way back to the ship, their path illuminated by the flashing emergency lights and the sounds of alarms echoing through the corridors. As they boarded the ship and prepared for departure, Jaxon reviewed the data they had gathered. The mission had been a success, but the implications of the weapon's capabilities were staggering. They had gained valuable insights into Project Genesis and the faction's plans, but the threat was far from over. The ship's engines roared to life as they departed the test site, leaving the facility behind. The crew was exhausted but satisfied with their achievements. They had prevented a critical demonstration of the weapon and gained crucial information that would aid them in their ongoing struggle against the eclipsed entity. As they navigated their way out of the star system and back into the safety of the nebula, Jaxon reflected on the mission. The challenges they had faced and the obstacles they had overcome were a testament to their resilience and resourcefulness. But the galaxy was vast, and the threats they faced were far-reaching. The data from the test site would require further analysis, and their next steps would be crucial in shaping the outcome of their mission. The eclipsed entity's reach extended across the galaxy, and Jaxon knew that their fight was far from over. The crew took a moment to regroup and reassess their strategy. They had achieved a significant victory, but the battle was ongoing, and the stakes were high. As they set their course for their next destination, Jaxon was determined to see their mission through to the end. The galaxy was a place of both wonder and danger, and their journey was far from over. The path ahead was fraught with challenges, but Jaxon and his team were ready to face whatever came their way. Their determination and resolve would guide them as they continued their quest to unravel the mysteries of the eclipsed entity and protect the galaxy from its shadow. The ship's engines hummed steadily as they left the nebula, the remnants of the test facility fading into the distance. Jaxon sat at the command console, reviewing the data collected from the facility. The atmosphere in the ship was a mix of relief and apprehension, as the team processed the implications of their recent mission. Dr. Elena Torres and Lieutenant Marcus Kane worked alongside Jaxon, analyzing the data with meticulous attention. The disruption of the weapon test had been a significant victory, but it was clear that their adversaries would not be easily deterred. The eclipsed entity's reach was vast, and the implications of Project Genesis were far-reaching. "Jaxon, you need to see this," Dr. Torres said, her voice tinged with urgency. She displayed a series of encrypted files on the holoscreen. These files contain detailed schematics and research notes about the weapon. There are also references to other projects and facilities that we need to investigate. Jackson's eyes narrowed as he scanned the documents. This is a goldmine of information. If we can piece together these references, it could lead us to additional critical sites. But it also means we're dealing with a larger network than we initially thought. Lieutenant Kane examined the star maps, his focus intense. There are multiple facilities mentioned here, scattered across different sectors. We'll need to prioritize which locations to investigate first based on their strategic significance and potential impact. Jaxon nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "Let's start by identifying the most critical sites. We'll need to coordinate our efforts and gather as much intelligence as possible before we make any further moves." The team worked late into the night, analyzing the data and formulating a plan. The files revealed a series of interconnected projects, each contributing to the eclipsed entity's overarching goals. The complexity of the network was staggering, and it was clear that their mission was far from over. As the ship charted a course for their next destination, Jaxon took a moment to reflect on their progress. They had successfully disrupted the weapon test and gathered valuable intelligence, but the true scale of the threat remained uncertain. The eclipsed entity's plans were shrouded in secrecy, and it was up to them to uncover the truth. The ship emerged from the nebula and entered a new sector of the galaxy. The chosen location for their next investigation was a remote research outpost, known for its secrecy and advanced research capabilities. The outpost was rumored to be involved in several high-priority projects, making it a critical target for their efforts. The crew prepared for their next mission, double-checking their equipment and reviewing their strategy. The outpost was heavily fortified, and the team would need to approach with caution. Their goal was to infiltrate the facility, gather intelligence, and assess any potential threats. As they approached the outpost, Jaxon's heart raced with anticipation. The outpost was a sprawling complex of interconnected modules, each surrounded by an array of defensive systems. The facility was protected by a series of energy shields and automated turrets, making it a formidable challenge to breach. AI, initiate the stealth protocols and scan for vulnerabilities in the facility's defenses, Jaxon ordered. The ship's AI systems worked in tandem, analyzing the outpost's security measures and identifying potential entry points. The AI's analysis revealed several weaknesses in the facility's defenses. The team's approach would involve exploiting these vulnerabilities to gain access to the research modules and data archives. Jaxon and his team reviewed their plan, making final adjustments based on the latest information. The ship maneuvered into position, using the cover of nearby asteroids and debris fields to conceal its approach. The team deployed their stealth drones, which provided real-time data on the facility's internal layout and security systems. With the preliminary scans complete, the team prepared for their infiltration. They approached the facility's outer perimeter, using drones to create diversions and draw attention away from their entry point. The facility's defenses responded to the simulated threats, allowing the team to slip past the initial security layers. The team entered the facility through a maintenance access point, which provided a less obvious entry route. The corridors were dimly lit, with a sterile and clinical atmosphere that was characteristic of high-security research environments. The team moved swiftly and quietly, avoiding detection as they navigated through the facility. Dr. Torres led the way, using her expertise to bypass security systems and gain access to restricted areas. The team encountered several security checkpoints and surveillance cameras, but their advanced stealth technology and tactical skills allowed them to evade detection. After a series of narrow escapes and careful maneuvering, They reached the research modules. The modules were filled with advanced equipment and research materials, providing a wealth of information about the facility's projects. Jaxon and his team set to work, accessing the data archives and examining the research materials. The files revealed a range of projects, from energy research to advanced weaponry. The facility was a critical hub for the eclipsed entity's operations, and the information they uncovered was crucial for understanding the faction's plans. Among the data, they discovered references to a new project code named Aurora. The project aimed to develop a powerful energy source capable of destabilizing star systems. The implications of such a technology were staggering, and Jaxon knew they had to investigate further. "We need to find out where the Aurora project is being developed," Jaxon said. "This technology could be a game changer, and we need to understand its full potential." The team gathered as much information as they could and prepared to leave the facility. The outpost's security systems were becoming increasingly active, and it was clear that their presence had been detected. The team made their way back to the ship, navigating through the corridors and avoiding security patrols. As they departed the outpost, Jaxon reviewed the data they had collected. The Aurora project was a significant development, and its implications for the galaxy were profound. The team's mission was far from over, and they needed to continue their efforts to uncover the full extent of the eclipsed entity's plans. The ship set course for their next destination, a remote facility rumored to be involved in the development of advanced technologies. The journey was long and fraught with challenges, but the crew remained focused on their mission. As they traveled, Jaxon reflected on the progress they had made. The information they had gathered was invaluable, and their efforts had exposed several key aspects of the eclipsed entity's operations. But the threat was far from over, and there was much more to uncover. The galaxy was a place of both wonder and danger, and the crew's journey was a testament to their resilience and determination. The stakes were high, and their mission was critical. Jaxon and his team were prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, driven by their commitment to protecting the galaxy from the shadows that threatened it. The ship coasted through the silent void, its engines a low hum that resoned through the metal hull. The crew was deep in thought as they prepared for the next phase of their mission. The information they had gathered from the research outpost was both a boon and a burden. The Aurora project, with its potential to destabilize star systems, was a terrifying revelation, and it was clear that the stakes had escalated dramatically. Jaxon sat in the ship's command center, reviewing the data on a holoscreen. The Aurora project's implications were profound, and their next objective was to uncover more details about its development and deployment. They had identified a potential lead, a remote facility known for its involvement in high-level research and development. This facility was rumored to be connected to several key projects, including Aurora. Dr. Elena Torres and Lieutenant Marcus Kane joined Jaxon at the command center. The atmosphere was tense, but there was a shared sense of determination. "Jaxon, we've analyzed the data from the outpost," Torres began, her tone serious. "There are several references to past projects that might provide us with additional insights into the Aurora project. We need to investigate these connections further." Kane nodded in agreement. "The data also points to a facility on the edge of known space. It's been largely isolated, which might explain its lack of recent activity. We should prioritize this location." Jaxon reviewed the star charts, pinpointing their next destination. The facility was located in a remote sector, far from any major colonies or known trade routes. Its isolation suggested that it could hold significant secrets or advanced technology. "We'll set a course for the facility," Jaxon decided. "Prepare for a stealth approach. We don't know what kind of security measures they might have in place, and we need to be ready for anything." The ship entered a state of heightened alert as it approached the facility. The crew worked diligently, ensuring that their stealth systems were fully operational and that their equipment was in top condition. The facility loomed ahead, a solitary structure against the backdrop of the cold expanse of space. The facility was an imposing structure, with angular designs and an array of defensive systems. Its isolation was a double-edged sword while it offered protection. It also meant that any infiltration would be more challenging. As the ship neared the facility, the crew deployed their stealth drones to gather preliminary data. The drones provided a detailed overview of the facility's layout, including its security systems and internal configurations. AI, run a full analysis of the facility's defenses, Jaxon instructed. The ship's AI systems worked in tandem, evaluating the data and identifying potential vulnerabilities. The analysis revealed a series of security layers, including energy shields, automated turrets, and surveillance systems. The facility's defenses were robust, but several access points could be exploited. Dr. Torres reviewed the schematics and identified a maintenance access point that could serve as a viable entry route. This maintenance tunnel is less monitored and could provide us with a way inside without triggering alarms. The team prepared for their infiltration, donning their stealth gear and checking their equipment. As they approached the facility, they maneuvered through the outer defenses, using the cover of nearby debris fields to conceal their approach. The maintenance access point was concealed behind a series of storage containers and equipment. The team carefully bypassed the security systems and gained entry to the facility. The interior was dimly lit, with an eerie silence that added to the sense of foreboding. The team moved cautiously through the facility's corridors, using their advanced stealth technology to avoid detection. They encountered several security checkpoints, but their careful planning and coordination allowed them to pass through unnoticed. As they reached the central research area, Jaxon's heart pounded with anticipation. The facility was filled with advanced equipment and research materials, offering a wealth of information about the Aurora project and other related initiatives. Dr. Torres began to access the data archives, working quickly to gather information on the facility's projects. The data revealed several key findings, including details on the Aurora project's development and its potential applications. Among the data, they discovered references to a series of experiments involving energy manipulation and destabilization. The research aimed to create a weapon capable of causing widespread destruction, and the implications of such technology were staggering. "We need to find the core research lab," Jaxon said. "This facility is crucial to understanding the Aurora project and its potential impact. If we can access the core lab, we might uncover additional details that could help us counteract the threat." The team pressed forward, navigating through the facility's labyrinthine corridors. The security systems were increasingly active, and the team had to use their skills and technology to evade detection. As they approached the core research lab, they encountered a series of heavily fortified doors and security checkpoints. The facility's defenses were formidable, but the team's determination and expertise allowed them to overcome the obstacles. Inside the core lab, they found a wealth of data and research materials. The lab was filled with advanced technology and experimental equipment, providing valuable insights into the Aurora project and its development. Dr. Torres analyzed the data, uncovering details about the weapon's design and its intended applications. The research revealed that the Aurora project was far more advanced than previously anticipated, with the potential to cause widespread devastation across multiple star systems. "We have to expose this," Torres said. "The implications of this technology are catastrophic. We need to get this information to the right people and find a way to counteract the threat." As they gathered the data and prepared to leave the facility, Jaxon reflected on the challenges they had faced. The mission had been successful, but the threat posed by the Aurora project was a stark reminder of the dangers they faced. The team made their way back to the ship, navigating through the facility's corridors and avoiding security patrols. The data they had collected was crucial, and they knew that their next steps would be critical in shaping the outcome of their mission. As the ship departed the facility and set course for their next destination, Jaxon reviewed the data once more. The Aurora project's potential for destruction was immense, and it was clear that they needed to take decisive action. The galaxy was a place of both wonder and peril, and the team's journey was far from over. The information they had gathered was a crucial piece of the puzzle, But there was much more to uncover. The eclipsed entity's plans were complex and far-reaching, and it was up to them to unravel the truth and protect the galaxy from the shadows that threatened it. The ship glided through the dark expanse of space, its engines a soft hum against the void. The crew, though weary, remained vigilant. Their recent mission had yielded crucial intelligence about the Aurora project, but the real challenge lay ahead. Their next destination was a facility known for its research on anomalous phenomena, a place that had remained shrouded in mystery. Jaxon, Dr. Elena Torres, and Lieutenant Marcus Kane sat in the command center, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of the holoscreens. The facility they were approaching was rumored to be the site of several top-secret experiments, including some linked to the Aurora project. The nature of these experiments was unclear, but the facility's isolation and security suggested that it housed sensitive and potentially dangerous research. AI, prepare for a stealth approach, Jaxon instructed. We need to minimize our exposure and avoid detection. Set up the drones for a preliminary scan of the facility. The ship's AI systems activated, deploying stealth drones to survey the facility. The drones provided real-time data on the facility's layout, including its security systems and internal configurations. The facility was a sprawling complex, with multiple levels and numerous research modules. Its design was both intricate and imposing, with reinforced walls and advanced defensive measures. The facility is heavily fortified, Dr. Torres observed as she reviewed the drone footage. There are multiple security layers, including energy shields and automated turrets. We'll need to be extremely cautious. Lieutenant Kane examined the star charts, noting the facility's location on the edge of a nebula. The facility's isolation means it's less likely to have external communication. We should be able to conduct our investigation without alerting outside forces. Jaxon nodded, formulating a plan. We'll approach the facility using the nebula for cover. We need to identify an entry point that will allow us to bypass the primary security systems. Our goal is to access the research modules and gather as much information as possible. The ship maneuvered into position, using the nebula's dense gases and debris to conceal its approach. The stealth drones continued to gather data, pinpointing potential entry points and vulnerabilities in the facility's defenses. As the team prepared for infiltration, the atmosphere on the ship was tense but focused. The facility's reputation for secrecy and the potential dangers within were a constant reminder of the stakes involved. The crew deployed their stealth gear and prepared to breach the facility. The chosen entry point was a maintenance access tunnel located near the facility's outer perimeter. The tunnel was less monitored, providing a potential route for entry without triggering alarms. The team approached the tunnel, carefully bypassing the external security measures. Once inside, they navigated through a series of dark, narrow corridors, their movements precise and deliberate. The maintenance tunnel led them to a central access point, where they encountered a series of security checkpoints and surveillance cameras. The team used their advanced technology to bypass these systems, avoiding detection as they moved deeper into the facility. As they reached the central research area, the facility's atmosphere became more foreboding. The research modules were filled with advanced equipment and experimental devices, but their purpose and function remain unclear. Dr. Torres began to access the data archives, working quickly to gather information. The archives revealed several key projects, including ongoing research into anomalous energy phenomena and experimental weapons. The data suggested that the facility was involved in several high-priority projects, each with potential implications for the Aurora project. Among the data, they discovered references to a series of experiments involving energy manipulation and spatial distortion. The experiments aimed to harness exotic energy sources and manipulate gravitational fields, potentially leading to the development of new types of weapons or defensive systems. We need to locate the primary research lab, Jaxon said, his voice filled with urgency. The core of this facility likely holds the most critical information about these experiments. The team continued their infiltration, navigating through the facility's labyrinthine corridors. The security systems were increasingly active, and the crew had to use their skills and technology to evade detection. As they approached the primary research lab, they encountered a series of heavily fortified doors and security checkpoints. The facility's defenses were formidable, but the team's preparation and expertise allowed them to overcome the obstacles. Inside the primary research lab, they found an array of advanced equipment and research materials. The lab was a hub of activity, with multiple workstations dedicated to various experiments and projects. The data they uncovered revealed several critical details about the facility's research. Dr. Torres analyzed the data, uncovering information about a new experiment that involved manipulating dark matter and antimatter. The experiment aimed to create a powerful energy source with the potential to alter the fabric of space-time. "This is groundbreaking," Torres said, her voice filled with awe. "If they succeed, they could create a weapon capable of altering entire star systems. We need to get this information out of here and alert the relevant authorities." As they gathered the data and prepared to leave the facility, Jaxon reflected on the implications of their findings. The research conducted at the facility was both advanced and dangerous, with the potential to shift the balance of power in the galaxy. The team made their way back to the ship, navigating through the facility's corridors and avoiding security patrols. The data they had collected was crucial, and they knew that their next steps would be vital in shaping the outcome of their mission. As the ship departed the facility and set course for their next destination, Jaxon reviewed the information once more. The experiments conducted at the facility were a testament to the lengths to which the eclipsed entity was willing to go in their pursuit of power. The galaxy was a place of both wonder and danger, and the crew's journey was far from over. The information they had gathered was a critical piece of the puzzle, but there was much more to uncover. The eclipsed entity's plans were complex and far-reaching, and it was up to them to unravel the truth and protect the galaxy from the shadows that threatened it. The ship drifted silently through the blackness of space, the distant stars shimmering like pinpricks in the void. Jaxon and his team were deep in their preparations for the next phase of their mission. Their recent findings from the Anomalous Phenomena Research Facility had revealed the existence of a hidden nexus, a central hub of eclipsed entity operations that was key to understanding the true scope of their plans. Jaxon stood in the ship's command center, scanning through the latest data on a holo screen. The hidden nexus was believed to be an underground facility located on a remote, uncharted planet. Its existence was shrouded in secrecy, and its exact location had only recently been pinpointed through analysis of the data they had gathered. "AI, calculate the fastest route to the hidden nexus," Jaxon instructed. "We need to be prepared for any eventualities. The eclipsed entity will not take kindly to our intrusion." The ship's AI systems whirred as it processed the calculations, plotting a course through the galaxy's uncharted regions. The journey would take several days, but the crew was determined to press on. They needed to uncover the full extent of the eclipsed entity's plans and find a way to thwart their ambitions. Dr. Elena Torres and Lieutenant Marcus Kane were busy preparing their equipment and analyzing the latest intel. The hidden nexus was rumored to be the epicenter of several high-priority projects, including advanced weapons development and deep space research. The stakes were higher than ever, and the team knew that their mission would be fraught with danger. "We need to be meticulous in our approach," Torres said, reviewing the schematics of the hidden nexus. "The facility is likely to be heavily guarded, and its internal security systems will be sophisticated. We should expect traps and countermeasures at every turn." Kane nodded in agreement. "We'll need to use every tool at our disposal. The facility's isolation means that we'll have to rely on stealth and ingenuity to gain entry." As the ship approached the uncharted planet, the crew remained on high alert. The planet was a rocky, desolate world with harsh atmospheric conditions, making it an ideal location for a secret facility. The team prepared their landing gear and equipped themselves with survival gear and stealth technology. The descent to the planet's surface was rough, with turbulence shaking the ship as it entered the atmosphere. The landing was precise, and the crew quickly disembarked, making their way to the facility's entrance. The hidden nexus was concealed beneath a series of rock formations and reinforced barriers. The entrance was well hidden, but the team's advanced scanning equipment detected faint energy signatures that indicated the presence of the facility. Jaxon led the way, using a combination of stealth and technical expertise to bypass the outer defenses. The entrance was secured by a series of locks and energy fields, but Torres quickly disabled the systems, allowing the team to gain access. The interior of the facility was a maze of corridors and chambers, each one filled with advanced technology and experimental equipment. The team moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing through the empty halls. The facility's design was both imposing and intricate, with layers of security that required careful navigation. As they ventured deeper into the facility, they encountered a series of data terminals and research modules. The terminals contained valuable information about the Eclipsed Entities projects, including details about their advanced weaponry and deep space research. Dr. Torres accessed the data terminals, uncovering several key findings. The research modules revealed information about the development of a new type of energy weapon, one capable of destabilizing entire star systems. The weapon was part of a larger initiative aimed at achieving galactic dominance. "This is even more dangerous than we anticipated," Torres said, her voice filled with concern. "The implications of this technology are catastrophic. We need to find a way to disable or destroy it." Jaxon agreed, reviewing the data with a sense of urgency. "We need to locate the primary control center. The core of the facility likely houses the most critical components of these projects." The team pressed on, navigating through the facility's labyrinthine layout. They encountered several security checkpoints and automated defenses, each one more challenging than the last. The crew's expertise and coordination allowed them to overcome these obstacles, but they remained vigilant for any potential threats. As they approached the primary control center, the facility's security systems became even more sophisticated. The control center was a heavily fortified chamber, protected by multiple layers of energy shields and defensive systems. The team used their advanced technology and tactical skills to breach the defenses and gain access. Inside the control center, they found a network of data terminals and control panels, each one connected to the facility's various projects. The central console provided access to the facility's core systems, including the energy weapon development and research data. Dr. Torres quickly began to analyze the data, uncovering crucial details about the weapon's design and operational parameters. The information revealed the weapon's potential for widespread destruction, with the capability to destabilize entire star systems and alter the balance of power in the galaxy. "We need to act quickly," Torres said, her tone resolute. "We must find a way to neutralize this technology before it can be deployed." Jaxon reviewed the control center's schematics, identifying key systems that could be targeted to disable the weapon. The team worked together to develop a plan for disabling the facility's core systems and neutralizing the threat. The process was complex and required precise execution. The team used a combination of technical skills and tactical expertise to access the core systems and implement their plan. The facility's defenses were formidable, but the crew's determination and expertise allowed them to overcome the obstacles. As they completed their mission, Jaxon and his team prepared to leave the facility. They had gathered critical information and taken steps to neutralize the threat, but the mission had taken a toll. The hidden nexus was a testament to the Eclipsed Entities' ambitions and their willingness to go to extreme lengths to achieve their goals. The team made their way back to the ship, navigating through the facility's corridors and avoiding security patrols. The data they had collected was crucial, and they knew that their next steps would be vital in shaping the outcome of their mission. As the ship departed the hidden nexus and set course for their next destination, Jaxon reflected on the challenges they had faced. The mission had been successful, but the threat posed by the Eclipsed Entity was a stark reminder of the dangers they faced. The galaxy was a place of both wonder and peril, and the crew's journey was far from over. The information they had gathered was a critical piece of the puzzle, but there was much more to uncover. The eclipsed entity's plans were complex and far-reaching, and it was up to them to unravel the truth and protect the galaxy from the shadows that threatened it. Certainly, here's a winding-up section for the story, bringing it to a conclusion. The ship glided silently through the vast emptiness of space, its crew exhausted but resolute. The data gathered from the hidden nexus had provided critical insights into the eclipsed entity's plans and the advanced weaponry they were developing. The mission was nearly complete, but the final step remained to deliver their findings to the galaxy's leading authorities and prevent the eclipsed entity from unleashing their destructive technology. Jaxon paced the command center, reviewing the final reports and coordinating their approach. The journey back to the central hub of the Galactic Alliance was crucial. They had to present their evidence in a way that would convince the authorities of the imminent threat posed by the eclipsed entity's experiments. AI, plot a course for the central hub, Jaxon said. We need to get this information to the highest levels of command. The safety of the galaxy depends on it. The AI systems complied, setting a course for the central hub, a massive space station serving as the nerve center of the Galactic Alliance. The station was a beacon of hope and order, a symbol of unity in the face of the many threats that plagued the galaxy. As they approached the central hub, the team prepared for their presentation. Dr. Elena Torres compiled the data into a comprehensive dossier, highlighting the key findings and the potential ramifications of the eclipsed entity's research. Lieutenant Marcus Kane reviewed the security protocols and prepared for any potential challenges they might face upon arrival. The ship docked at the central hub, and the team disembarked, making their way to the command center. They were met by high-ranking officials and scientists who had been briefed on their arrival. Jaxon stepped forward, presenting the dossier to the officials. We've uncovered critical information about the eclipsed entity's research. Their advanced weaponry poses a grave threat to the galaxy. We need immediate action to neutralize this danger. The officials reviewed the data, their expressions growing more serious as they absorbed the implications. The dossier contained evidence of the weapon's capabilities and the potential for widespread destruction. This is indeed a grave threat, one of the officials said, their voice filled with concern. We will mobilize our forces and coordinate with allied systems to address this issue. The central hub's response was swift and decisive. The data provided by Jaxon and his team catalyzed a series of actions to counter the threat posed by the eclipsed entity. The galaxy's defense forces were mobilized, and a coordinated effort was launched to neutralize the advanced weaponry and prevent its deployment. Jaxon and his team were recognized for their bravery and contributions. The galaxy's leaders praised their efforts, acknowledging the critical role they had played in safeguarding the future. As they prepared to return to their ship and resume their journey, Jaxon reflected on the mission's impact. The galaxy was now better prepared to face the threats posed by the eclipsed entity, and their actions had averted a potential catastrophe. AI, set a course for home, Jaxon said, his voice filled with a sense of accomplishment. We've completed our mission, but there is always more to be done. The galaxy will remain vigilant and will continue to fight for its safety. The ship's engines roared to life as it departed from the central hub, heading back into the vast expanse of space. The crew was weary but proud, knowing that their efforts had made a significant difference. As they traveled through the stars, Jaxon looked out at the endless void, a sense of resolve settling in. The galaxy was a place of both wonder and danger, but it was also a place where courage and determination could make a difference. The journey had been long and arduous, but the team had succeeded in their mission. The eclipsed entity's plans had been thwarted, and the galaxy was once again safe from the shadows that threatened it. The stars stretched out before them, a testament to the endless possibilities and challenges that lay ahead. The crew of the ship knew that their journey was far from over, but they were ready to face whatever came next, united in their commitment to protect the galaxy and uphold the values they held dear. And so, as the ship sailed through the stars, the story of their mission became a testament to the resilience and bravery of those who stood against the darkness, ensuring that the light of hope would continue to shine brightly in the vast expanse of the universe.